Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Hey yo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare, and it has been a very, very long weekend. WrestleMania 42 is in the books, and it was a 50-50 show. As you've probably heard and seen by now all over the place, night one, a complete disaster. Night two was much better, but both nights suffered from the same mistakes, and we are going to talk about everything wrong with WrestleMania 42 right here and right now. Let's do it. Let's get right into it with the most obvious and the most common complaint that everybody has about this last year's WrestleMania was the ads. The obnoxious, the egregious, the overloading of WrestleMania with commercials. Now, I'm talking about actual commercials. I'm not talking about the branding that was all over WrestleMania, which was very annoying as well. How the mat looks like crap with all the logos on it. Now you got a bunch of jackoffs' names all around the ring because they paid for their name to be on the ring. So stupid. How much money does $1 billion corporation need? It's such corporate greed, and it leaves such a distaste in your mouth about what should be the greatest show of the year. Now, let's not get it twisted. WrestleMania has always featured ads, right? Every single WrestleMania, for the most part, has been sponsored by Snickers, or by Stacker 2, or by something, right? And it was always part of the show. They integrated it, and they'd have their little ad with a WWE superstar in it, much like they do with the Slim Jim and the rest of these ads. But they're running real television commercial ad breaks, 3 to 4 minutes long, not a 30-second Slim Jim ad and then back to the wrestling. They're doing full-on commercial breaks as if we were watching broadcast television, and we're not. We're watching a premium live event. Do they not understand what that means, what it's supposed to mean, especially in the context of a professional wrestling show? Obviously, TKO has nothing better to do than figure out ways to make more and more money off of the people that watch professional wrestling. Now, I understand that's their job, right? That's any company's purpose, is to make money. But this is just overboard. This is just too much. There's a time and a place for these things, and it's not at WrestleMania. The fact that half of the broadcast time of WrestleMania was ads, almost more time than there was actual wrestling, it just seems, it should be illegal. Like, it seems like a sin. Like, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Not to mention the fact that for the most part, we are paying for this show already. I shouldn't be getting ads trying to sell me shit on a show that I'm already paid for. I'm giving you my money to watch the show. I shouldn't have to be subjected to all of this shit. And I say the same thing with the Netflix deal. I pay for a Netflix subscription without ads. I shouldn't be forced to watch ads because TKO says so. Where's the wrestling? The second most common complaint that there was that there was not enough wrestling. The wrestling matches, barely any of them went over 10 minutes, with the exception of maybe 4. The real bigger, high-profile matches got about 15 minutes, and the main events had 20 minutes, 20 plus on night 2. But how can you give a Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team Championship less than 10 minutes at WrestleMania? How can you give the Women's World Championship match between Liv and Stephanie Vaquer only 6 to 7 minutes? And now you're hearing reports, oh, well, it's because they were both so banged up. Liv Morgan didn't look that banged up on Monday night when she was fighting Sol Ruca, did she? That match was way better than the match that she had at WrestleMania, and that is just wrong. That is just wrong. The involvement of celebrities. Let's clear this up right now. I've been watching wrestling for 45 years. I've been here since the first WrestleMania. The very first WrestleMania wouldn't even exist without the celebrity involvement. Celebrity involvement is the very foundation on which WrestleMania is built. The difference between then and now will forever be that there is no celebrities anymore. Right? People don't give a shit about Hollywood anymore because that's a dumpster fire that we don't even talk about over here. Hollywood's a way bigger mess than the WWE. The music industry is dog shit. The music itself is dog shit. Nobody knows any of these celebrities that are being weaved into WrestleMania. We only know who Pat McAfee was because he was actually part of the WWE. How many people actually know Jelly Roll? Outside of the United States anyway. We're talking about WrestleMania. How many people know I Show Speed that are over the age of 30? Probably not many. How many people give a shit about that dumb fucking rich idiot that was sitting at ringside on commentary? We had to take time away from a match to show some fucking rich moron who had enough money to waste to sit there next to Wade Barrett and say nothing for 3 minutes at ringside just so he can go tell his other rich friends and jerk off all over the place. Oh, I was at ringside at WrestleMania. You were pointless. You did nothing. What was the difference between him sitting there and sitting in the front row? 2 feet? Give me a fucking break. And I don't care that you really did it, but did you have to cut the broadcast and highlight this jerk-off? Who gives a shit about some rich idiot sitting at the announce table? He ain't known by nobody outside of his own personal circle of friends. Gives a shit. Why is this at WrestleMania? Remember when we had real celebrities? Because that's what it was all about. We had the first WrestleMania with Mr. T, Cyndi Lauper. And then throughout the 42 years of WrestleMania history, we've had people like Pamela Anderson, Lawrence Taylor, Drew Carey, Floyd Mayweather, Snoop Dogg, Butterbean, Pete Rose, Mike Tyson. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's way more. Burt Reynolds, Bob Uecker. These were mega stars at the time. These were people that the whole world knew. They were actual celebrities. It was a different time when celebrity meant something. Celebrity means nothing anymore. And you shouldn't be having these people involved as much as they are, though. As much as I'm forgiving of the fact that you have celebrities at WrestleMania because it's a tradition to have them there are no more real celebrities. A D-list Netflix star on some unknown show that nobody's watching does not equate to somebody like Liberace being there or Aretha Franklin doing the national anthem. Come on, man, it's apples and oranges. And that's why it's becoming egregious with that as well. That's why people are getting fed up with it as well, because you're calling them a celebrity, but half the world don't even know who this fucking guy is. And if you're going to use them properly. Celebrity timekeeper at ringside. Celebrity ring announcer. Celebrity backstage correspondence. Not fucking George Kittle and Gronk having an impromptu chugging match that was very awkward because they didn't even know it was happening. Who gives a shit? Why are we wasting time on this? But you didn't have time to give Io Sky her own match at WrestleMania. Terrible. Unacceptable. We took way too much time away from the wrestling. And you're charging $30,000 for tickets. You got ads plastered all over the place. I'm surprised you didn't have an ad on Bianca Belair's stomach when she revealed that she was pregnant. Oh, we got premium ad space, $100,000. You could be on Bianca's belly. Capital One right across the middle. What kind of shit is that? You're making money all over the place, sucking the fans dry, and then you're getting money from all these different corporations to slap their fucking name all over everything. We got individual matches being brought to you by individual sponsors. Oh, Cody Rhodes' match is brought to you by Wheatley Vodka because he's an alcoholic. Like, come on, man. And even it takes away even from things like Penta's entrance. He came out in the Shio-Kahn mask. I don't think that was his idea. Not when you're spending half the night showing me commercials for Mortal Kombat. Somebody told him to put this fucking mask on. Corporate synergy. You know that bullshit. It's too much. It's definitely too much. Maybe I'd be more forgiving if you gave more time to the wrestling. If we had 10-minute matches, if a lot of major matches had time to breathe and develop and tell a story, and you still wanted to show me some of this shit, fine. But you gotta fix the ratio. It's gotta be at least 60-40. Or 70-30 would be even better. 70% wrestling, 30% ads. Something's gotta be done. It won't be, but it should. Another thing is the lack of skits, right? Like, I know we had Dan Housen come on night 2 and do the whole thing with The Miz and John Cena, which was great. That actually felt like a WrestleMania moment. I enjoyed most of that. But where was that for the rest of the show? Why don't we have backstage correspondents talking to people before the match? Remember when WrestleMania used to do that? Like, we'd have Stone Cold and Bret, the main event, but we'd go to the back, and they'd be Mean Gene or Todd Grisham or whoever they had at the time, standing in the back. Hey, we are here with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's getting ready to take on Bret the Hitman Hart in just moments. What do you think, Steve? And then they'd cut some promo, hype up the match, talk trash about his opponent, and then go out to the ring and start the match. Remember those? Or if after the match, somebody big lost. Oh my God, Edge just lost to John Cena. Let's talk to Edge in the back right now. Get his thoughts on what just happened. Progress the story. Finish the story. Put a period to the end of the match by doing that. What happened to all of that? WrestleMania was the time of year, also since the brand split started, that maybe, you know, backstage you'd see the two champions cross paths for the first time. Or this would be the time, maybe like if Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown and Obafemi were on Raw. Just for an example. And they were at WrestleMania, they would cross paths in the back. Maybe have a little stare down, maybe do a little interaction, tease things that could be coming for a more accurate thing that they could have teased Monday night during WrestleMania weekend by having Jacob cross paths with Roman Reigns. You know, something creative, something entertaining, something that makes WrestleMania feel big. We actually used to have bands playing their music if they were going to show up and do a live performance. Motorhead didn't fucking lip sync their track. You know, Agent Orange didn't lip sync their track when they showed up at NXT to do the theme for that pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But for some reason, Becky Lynch's band were not performing live. I don't know what reason they would do that. I already hate the song. They feel like they ruined Becky Lynch's entrance. I think the other song was better. And then you go out and you do this. You come to WrestleMania, you don't even play? I don't know. Speaking of the entrances, everybody's complaining about that too. And that I gotta put my foot down on. Like, listen, this is WrestleMania. This is WrestleMania. This is when you're supposed to have the long, drawn-out entrances. I would much rather have seen Dragon Lee come out in his cool fucking dragon wings, or see what Rusev was going to do, or see how JD McDonough got his big head from the back to the ring for WrestleMania 42. But we didn't get to see any of that because we got to see Edge. I would have much rather have seen that. And I wouldn't be complaining to you about how long the entrances were at WrestleMania if I got a lot more wrestling. How can you take away that moment from these guys? You know, they got family and friends and stuff that are watching at home. You waited all year to get to WrestleMania, and now they don't even show your entrance because they got to sell me a fucking Slim Jim and a Domino's pizza and some car insurance. What? Are you fucking serious? An absolute disgrace. Those are the biggest things I could come up with that were wrong with it overall. Now, every single segment throughout the weekend, good or bad, had something to criticize for the most part. There were maybe 4 matches across the whole weekend that pretty much made this WrestleMania kind of at least worth getting through for night 1 and definitely worth watching for night 2. Seth Rollins versus Gunther, I thought was a great match. The best match on Saturday night. Nothing wrong with that. The Intercontinental Championship ladder match was great. Nothing really wrong with that, except for the fact that the 3 luchadors decided to all wear red. Were they trying to recreate the Spider-Man meme? Like, I don't get it. Did you not talk to each other about what yous were going to wear? I know we're not chicks, and you know, women do that, but you would think they do, but they don't do that in WWE either. Like, for some reason, these girls like to go out there and have their gears in the same color as their opponent. You're supposed to be opposites. You're supposed to create contrast, and it should start with the outfits at the very least. It was very hard for some people to keep track of who was who as the bodies were flying around during that, but great match. Really enjoyed it. Thought maybe they were going to give it to Rusev to maybe have a heel champion so that the baby faces in the division can chase and make it interesting. But I'm not mad that Penta won. Obviously, huge Penta guy. Love the fact that he's still the champ. Thought he pulled off a tremendous performance. That's the good stuff about it. Also, of course, everybody's talking about how great the main event of night 2 was, which you cannot deny. Roman Reigns and CM Punk definitely saved the entire weekend by pulling off an actual WrestleMania main event. The problem here is the referee's an idiot. All right, and there should have been a point before the show when they were going over the match where the ref was like, if you hit him with steel steps, bro, I have to disqualify you or else I look like a fucking jackass. But the ref didn't stand up for himself, I guess, or he didn't feel like it mattered, and they even made a point on commentary to point out that, oh wow, this referee really is giving them fucking leeway. CM Punk is hanging upside down, bleeding already from his face, and he gets pummeled with the steps. It's not the same as being thrown into the steps. You know, Roman picked him up and physically used him as a weapon, and the referee forgave this. But if there was the title belt, would he have called a disqualification? If he pulled out a chair and did it, wouldn't it have been a disqualification? And so technically, you know, CM Punk had a leg to stand on if he wanted to go back in a rematch direction. But after Monday Night Raw, we see they're definitely shifting gears on that. But let's talk about the card for the most part. Here we go. All right, here we go. So let's go. We'll start down from the middle. The 6-man tag. All right, 6-man tag team match. Everybody knows the results. We're not here to talk about the results. We're here to talk about what was wrong with everything. So what was wrong with this was everything. This match shouldn't have even existed, right? The only reason this match existed on the card was to give WWE a viral moment featuring some internet celebrities so that they could be the talk of Twitter, X, and Instagram, and all the rest of this shit. I do give credit to iShowSpeed for what he pulled off after the match. It's very, very impressive how he jumped from the top, put Logan Paul through the table on the outside. Not taking anything away from the guy. I thought that was impressive. But LA Knight being used in this match is pointless. Even the Usos in this match, using them only as a vehicle to highlight an internet streamer and get a viral moment for WrestleMania when LA Knight's one of the most over guys on the roster. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso just reunited. Would have been better to just have a straight World Tag Team title match between the Usos, maybe the rematch against the Vision, maybe add the New Day in there, maybe add another couple of tag teams, make it a little interesting, have a ladder match for the championships. Who knows? Maybe, come up with something special to do for WrestleMania. Not come up with something special for your guest stars to come up with. I didn't appreciate it, and I thought it was terrible. Terrible use of LA Knight. He should have been maybe in that ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. That would have been a good place to stick him, right? If you're not going to commit to putting him in the main event scene, at least give him a mid-card title, because he could do great things with a championship belt and as a champion and get a lot of people over in the process. But I don't know what they're waiting for. Why? Because he's a little bit clumsy and he falls around a lot? I don't know. The unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre was very good, very entertaining. I thought that it was a decent wrestling match. What it wasn't was a good unsanctioned match. You would think an unsanctioned match there would be some ultra violence. Not that I want somebody to get hurt or whatever, but to tell the story you're trying to tell. These guys were on TV for the last couple of weeks, ripping each other apart, throwing each other off the top of buildings. And now you get to a WrestleMania match and they don't even bust each other up. Nobody bled. And it just didn't feel intense enough to quantify the decision on the WWE to not want to sanction this match. Nothing happened in this match that was any more extreme than an Extreme Rules match or a no disqualifications match. There was way more intensity in the World Championship match between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. That felt way more like that should have been an unsanctioned matchup than this one. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guys. Drew did great. The wrestling was good. And that's the common theme throughout. The wrestling, when they actually gave it to us, was all very solid on both nights. Winners and losers, that's to everybody's taste. I didn't care for many of the booking decisions on who went over for the most part. But the wrestling is not the complaint. Everybody brought it. But this particular match, unsanctioned, brings an expectation that something is going to go down. Like maybe you end with a real big spot, somebody going through something. Like the last time they did this, wasn't it like Shane McMahon versus The Miz or some shit? I don't remember. And Shane is a psycho and he's always throwing himself off buildings and shit. But those are the kind of risks you expect them to take when you're doing something that the company is so concerned that, we want nothing to do with this, so we're not going to sanction this match. Yeah. Whatever. And then you had the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. Now, my problem with this is not, again, the match itself, but the fact that they just didn't pull the Bella Twins. This is ridiculous. Alright, let's back up just for a second. I am super, super happy that Paige has returned. I think her coming back home to the WWE is great. I'm so happy she can wrestle again. I'm glad she's out of the shackles of AEW. She's come back home to wrestle where she belongs. And I understand the poetry and the symmetry of her winning a championship on her first night back when she won the Divas Championship on her first night in her initial debut. They're trying to mimic that situation, but that wasn't part of the plan, because the plan obviously was to give the titles to the Bella Twins. But if Nikki couldn't go, you shouldn't have done this, because now you have Brie Bella and Paige, a very impromptu, very awkward tag team. I know they were friends back in the day when they were, there's the pictures of them all together, and I understand that. But there's no context of them being a team in the past. And the whole point of Brie Bella coming back was to win the tag team titles with her sister. And if her sister couldn't do that, she shouldn't have done it. She should have stepped back herself and been like, listen, I don't want to do this without Nikki. Maybe give Paige somebody to be a mystery partner or some shit. You could have had EO come out, right, and say, but no, see, that wouldn't have made sense either. All you needed to do was replace the team or revert this match to a triple threat. Turn it from a Fatal 4 to a triple threat. You have Charlotte and Alexa, you have Nia and Lash, and you have Lyra and Bayley. And that's it. You wanted to keep it a Fatal 4-way, you could have had the Kabuki Warriors, you could have put in Raquel and Roxy, and it would have been just fine. But no, instead you do this. And while I appreciate the return of Paige and she got a great reaction, this just didn't seem like the best place to put her. And it's even more evident by the fact that on Monday Night Raw, after WrestleMania, they had nothing better to do for Paige than to just show her in the crowd. Which means none of this was in the plans. I would have done so much more with Paige. Nikki Bella didn't look too happy throughout this whole thing because she just lost her whole WrestleMania moment. This was the whole reason she came back. This was the whole reason they got Brie back, and it just blew up in their face. And now Brie Bella, one half of the most famous twins in wrestling history, is a tag team champion with someone that's not her twin sister, who is her tag team partner. Like, it just, like, nobody thought about like any of that, and how silly it is and how awkward it looks. There was a perfect place to put Paige, but they didn't do it, obviously, and that would have been during the Rhea and Jade match, but we'll talk about that a little later. You know what? No, we'll talk about it now, because all I'm saying is, if they were going to go with Rhea going over Jade, which I don't agree with, all right, and that's a whole nother ball of wax in and of itself, they should have had that be when Paige debuted. Rhea Ripley wins. She's celebrating with EO, unfortunately, and then Paige's music hits. Paige comes down to the ring, congratulates her, gives her a hug. You know, you can have Rhea flipping out, oh my god, it's Paige, I love Paige, this and that, and then you could start like showing signs of like EO being a little like, oh, what's going on, like a jealousy thing, and you could start some shit like that, and then you can have Paige versus EO, Paige versus Ripley by the end of the year. Start that. But no, instead we're gonna throw her into a nothing tag team, give her the tag team titles, and we'll go from there. It was just crazy to me. So many better ways they could have done that. Excuse me. Women's Intercontinental Championship match was exactly what everybody expected it to be. Wasn't given it a lot of time. And it didn't really need to be more than it was. This feud got very disinteresting very quickly. And now AJ Lee's supposedly going to be gone for a while. I don't know what a while is. I don't know if it's forever, if that's going to be the end, if she's going to be back for SummerSlam. There's no news on it, so I don't really know. But I expected Becky Lynch to win it back. She's now a 3-time Intercontinental Champion, bringing a little bit more prestige back to it, I guess. Not that AJ Lee didn't. It's just that her run really didn't do much, and Becky has been doing a lot for the Intercontinental Championship, so having it with her probably is the better move. Gunther defeating Seth Rollins, we talked about a little bit already. My favorite match for night one. I thought the guys did a great job. We also had the return of Braun Breaker, where he speared Seth Rollins into the depths of hell. And thought that was all great. Little predictable, kind of expected that to go down the way it did, but these guys really went out there and did their best to give you a good match, and it's much appreciated. It was really the best match of night one. The Women's World Championship match, Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. What can I say that I didn't already say? This match did not have enough time, especially that it got so heated right before WrestleMania, and you had Liv with the head injury and everything and coming out and getting all crazy. I wouldn't have given it back to Liv. I don't want Liv as the world champion. I'm not a Liv Morgan guy. She's just not for me. I don't enjoy her voice. I don't enjoy her face like most of you guys. She's just not for me. And I would have much rather Stephanie Vaquer retain the title and go on and have matches with some of the ladies on this roster. Stephanie Vaquer versus Asuka, Stephanie Vaquer versus Io, Stephanie versus Kairi, Stephanie versus Bayley, Stephanie versus Becky, Stephanie versus all these people. But instead we're going back to Liv. Been there, done that, don't care. Don't care. I was hoping that the Judgment Day was going to be dissolved by now, but they're just leaning into it harder than ever. Bianca Belair came out and then announced her pregnancy, which congratulations to them as a couple. Beautiful moment. Great to announce it at WrestleMania. Just thought it was funny that she came back and Bianca Belair returned to tell everybody that she's still going to be out for a while because she's got a baby in the oven. Wonderful news. Congratulations, Montel. Great job, buddy. After that, we had the main event of night one, Cody Rhodes defeating Randy Orton. Everybody knows the situation here. The whole Pat McAfee deal really sucked everything right out of this match. Any potential this match had of being great was taken away right at that moment. And then things got even more complicated. Reports are saying that right up until Saturday morning, Randy Orton was supposed to be going over and winning the championship. You set up the angle to do just that. Everything in the build had everybody ready for Randy to save wrestling and beat Cody for the title. And it would have made perfect storyline sense for that to be the case. The only thing that sucked about it was the involvement of Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. They seemingly decided to fix that by having McAfee and Jelly Roll removed from the match right from the beginning. Jelly Roll drops an elbow through Pat McAfee, through the announce tables, on the outside before the match even begins, and then Cody and Randy can tell their story. But then there's a ref bump, and then there's Pat McAfee, and he comes out, and he, despite everything he said for the last 3 weeks, Randy Orton gets Cody Rhodes down, and he doesn't fast count him. You would think Pat McAfee would be like, 1, 2, 3, Randy's the champ. All right, we accomplished our mission, and we've saved wrestling. No. Instead, you get him doing a standard referee count, and then Randy getting up and giving him the RKO, probably because he didn't fast count him, if you're thinking about it in story beats. And then Cody catches Randy for the win. And, man. Now, everybody in the stadium seemed quite divided in this moment. Some people cheered. I think most people booed. But then they were given reason to go home happy because Randy would punt kick Cody Rhodes, leading to the big eye injury and everything that we know now after the fact. Trying to send everybody home happy, right? The Cody fans are happy because he didn't lose the title. The Randy fans are happy because he vipered him and kicked him in the face and left him a bloody mess. But when you try to please everybody, at the end of the day, really you please nobody, because we had a lackluster main event that was very confusing and went against the story that you were telling leading up to this match, and I just didn't get it. And as Saturday night came to a close, I was super disappointed and was not looking forward to night 2. However, night 2 opened up with a bang. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar was your standard, typical Brock Lesnar matchup. The only difference being the winner, Obafemi, effectively kind of squashing Brock Lesnar, which is what everybody wanted, which is what this match needed to be. It could have benefited for another minute or two. You know, maybe have Brock hit Oba again with the F5. after the first one failed and have him get up again, and you see Brock really start to feel some pressure and really start to be worried that, oh my God, this guy is unstoppable. You know, it could have benefited from a couple more minutes, but very happy with it at the end of the day. I was really nervous that they were going to not give it to Obafemi. This is the purpose of WrestleMania. This had the magnitude of like a Hogan versus Andre. You know what I mean? He is a guy, Brock Lesnar, who's known all over the world. Multi-time world champion, multiple-time UFC champion. And here's the new next big thing coming through. And he did the right thing by looking up at the lights for Oba and then shocking the world by seemingly retiring without telling anybody that was going to be it. WWE supposedly had plans for Brock to be retired by Gunther at SummerSlam in Minneapolis, Brock's hometown. But that's not going to happen now, supposedly. I've been seeing for the last couple of days, Triple H reports are saying, some reports are saying it's not a big deal, and some reports are saying Triple H is really mad and he's going to try to force Brock Lesnar to come back and have another match so that he can give his retirement to his boy Gunther and not to Obafemi. I don't know why he would be so adamant about that, because isn't Obafemi an NXT guy? But what, because he didn't bring him up, he's going to be that petty and not want to do the right thing by Obafemi? I don't think so. Shawn Michaels made Obafemi if Triple H didn't, right? And down in NXT, why would he do that? Doesn't make sense. I understand if he feels a little butthurt because, you know, we had this plan and then you decided you're going to retire now. But if that's the case, then just leave it be, man, because it did so much for Oba. If you bring him back, it takes all of that away. One more match versus Gunther for Gunther to be the one to say, no, I retire Brock Lesnar. No, man, Obafemi retired Brock Lesnar. Everybody just seen it. So just leave it be. Gunther's had enough. He's retired 3 legends, and you have more coming down the line. You don't need to give him Brock Lesnar. And I think Brock knows that. And I think Brock did the right thing. He knows that's... I mean, what better place to call it quits than WrestleMania? Who wants to retire at SummerSlam? No, you retire at WrestleMania. Just sounds better even just saying it, right? But this was everything it needed to be. Obafemi goes over big. He came up already over unlike anything I've ever seen. Him and Trick Williams got over so quickly, and I'm so happy to see that. And I'm looking forward to everything these guys are going to do. We talked about the Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Penta winning was fine. Some really sick spots in this match. The Mexican Destroyer on top of the ladder to JD McDonough. Fantastic. Another Mexican Destroyer to Javon Evans, which took him out of the match. We thought Rusev was going to get it a couple of times. There was a lot of drama in this matchup. Other than the matching outfits by the 3 luchadors, even Rey Mysterio came out looking good in this match, which I was most worried about him because this guy just gets injured coming down to the ring lately nowadays. But he was in there, he did his thing. Great Intercontinental Championship ladder match. Penta, still our Intercontinental Champion. Cero miedo. Perfect. United States Championship match needed 5 more minutes, bro. 5 more minutes to tell a better story. Trick Williams defeating Sami Zayn, becoming the new United States Champion. Love every minute of that. Don't see why they needed to take Carmelo out of the picture unless they're just trying to save that for a bigger moment down the line, which I'll forgive. I'll forgive that if that's the intention. If they just did it for no reason, then that's just silly. Carmelo should have definitely been part of this match. Or you could have just left Carmelo the United States Champion and kicked off Trick Williams' run with the feud versus Carmelo, rerunning that back from NXT for the main roster audience that's never seen how great that actually was. But we'll see where they go from here. Trick Williams, our new United States Champion. Let's talk about it. Friggin' great. Very happy to see that. The Demon Finn Balor defeating Dominic Mysterio. This fell just a tiny bit flat for me, only because there was really nothing at stake. This should have had the Intercontinental Championship on the line. If you wanted to take it from him to have this ladder match for Penta, then why not have Dominic defend the AAA Mega Championship? Let Finn Balor be the champion down there for a while. You own AAA now, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. They were very smart in making it a street fight, which elevated the stakes by not giving them anything to actually win for. Dominic Mysterio just was trying to survive the Demon, which he definitely gave it his best shot, but it wasn't going to happen. And there was no Judgment Day interference, which I thought was weird. This was a street fight, which means there's no rules. Why wouldn't they come out to help Dominic Mysterio, especially when he's in over his head versus a literal demon in the ring? So that didn't make sense, and I don't understand why they did that. Just like I don't understand why we had Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill in the first place. I don't say this very often, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but this is the one freaking time that you actually should have used Charlotte Flair in a world title program, and you just didn't do it. You wanted to shove her down our throats back in the day, and now you throw her in this tag team with Alexa Bliss, which is just, I just hate it. It's just so cringy. I'm not enjoying what they're doing with the random single superstars being smashed together into tag teams. I don't... That's not what it is, man. You guys lost the plot on tag teams. Definitely. This should have been Rhea Ripley. No, not Rhea Ripley. This should have been Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill for the title. You know what else they could have done? Charlotte Flair versus Jade versus Alexa. You should have had this tag team at each other's throats by now. We're not friends was the whole thing, right? The whole... But apparently they are. That team should have been going head to head because they both want the World Championship or the Women's Championship. Triple threat match. Jade, Charlotte, Alexa. Not another crowning for Rhea Ripley. Let me tell you something. Was a big Rhea Ripley fan. Not that I'm not anymore. It's just when her music hits now, my eyes roll. And I don't know so much why that is, other than this teaming with Io Sky has just... it's just ruined both of them, if you ask me. Again, getting to the point, we're taking two big single stars, putting them in a tag team, giving them tag team championship runs. They've been doing this for years. All of a sudden in the 2000s, this is what they decided to do. And then we started to get teams like Rated RKO and all these random, just these two guys, CM Punk and Kofi Kingston, they're the tag team champions. I was like, what? And they're doing the same shit here, but what makes it even worse is the little extra added element of cringe in their relationship dynamic. Friends aren't like that. You hanging all over your friends like that? No, you're not. Come on. That's not how friends act. This is how friends act in a poorly written drama for television. Stop it. There's borderline bisexual at this point. Like, that's how it's coming off. Like, are they banging? Not that I give a shit, not that it's a big deal, but like, that's how it's coming off. And it's annoying. And it's nonsensical. It doesn't even fucking make sense. Why would she give a fuck about Rhea Ripley? She should be wanting to take Rhea Ripley's head off. They should... oh, but they're both good guys. No, man, it's wrestling. It's competition. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to put an obvious rivalry into a tag team for so long, and now they're just like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. Oof. It's just fucking cringe-mania. Awful. And then that leads to this anyway. We got off topic here. Rhea Ripley defeats Jade Cargill. Wrong call, man. wrong call. I don't want to see another Rhea Ripley title run. It's unnecessary. She's at the point now where she don't really need a title. She's fucking Rhea Ripley and she can do whatever she wants. She don't need to be winning championships. Jade Cargill, admittedly, not having the best run of her life, but this was probably the best match she's had, and you could attribute that to Rhea being as good as she is. They both got each other through this match. They both ended up looking very strong. But this was the wrong match at the wrong time, and the wrong person won. Jade should have won, and they should have started building to Jade versus Charlotte Flair at either Backlash or SummerSlam. Because Rhea Ripley's not it. However, the one silver lining to this dark cloud is that she's finally off of Monday Night Raw and away from Io Sky. And they had to make a thing of it, right? They had to do it on Monday Night Raw. They had to show, oh, I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to miss you. And there's this whole fucking cringeworthy goodbye between just two friends. They're friends. Just because she's going to another show don't mean shit. You just got fucking phones, right? Everybody's got FaceTime. You're not fucking leaving her forever. Stop with this shit. And then on her way out, she sees Liv Morgan just sitting there. And she's like, I'll see you around. Who gives a fuck? Goodbye. Go do something different, because it's getting boring and stale and repetitive, this act. At least on SmackDown, she'll have other people to wrestle, and I won't have to see Rio anymore for some time. The Danhausen segment with John Cena and the Mini Housens was great. Kit Wilson and The Miz were actually the perfect choice to do this with. I love everything Danhausen's doing. I think The Miz is perfect to be his foil right now, and Kit Wilson fits perfectly with The Miz for some reason. He looks to me like he could be The Miz's son. I don't know. They look like father and son in my eyes, but Danhausen just making a fool of The Miz, cracking John Cena. He couldn't keep a straight face. The Minis dragging The Miz out of there. The whole thing felt very WrestleMania momenty, and I enjoyed it. And we needed more moments like this. Just like we needed more moments like the World Heavyweight Championship matchup. CM Punk did the very best he could against Roman Reigns, but the Tribal Chief was just too strong. And CM Punk, despite his best efforts, is a little old. He's as old as me, so I know how old he is. And he just couldn't get him up. He just couldn't get him up for that last GTS. He was blown up. He was spent. He was exhausted. He took everything that Roman could dish out, and still right to the end almost had it. Almost had it. And that was the story they told here. And despite the one little hiccup with the stairs, in what should have been a disqualification, just to be consistent with the industry and the storytelling and, you know, how matches go. Take that out of the equation, this match was perfect. Perfect. Other than that, it didn't like bring it down or anything like that. It just gives you something to think, oh wow, they didn't think of that. Like, CM Punk should still technically be the champion, but he's not. And Roman Reigns is. And my only criticism comes actually after the fact for this, which is you gave Roman the belt and you brought him over to Raw, but you also brought everybody else with him, and now we're going to reset the bloodline. I don't want to see this. And we're going to have another inter-bloodline feud, and now Jacob is involved, and it's more Uso and Anoa'i family drama. And while it's admittedly some of the most intriguing and best stuff they could do at the moment, Jacob versus Roman is an intriguing matchup. We don't know where it's going to go. I just don't... I mean, it hasn't been long enough to be like, oh yeah, the bloodline's back. Like, they've only been split for like a year, I feel. I don't know. It's just... I don't want to go back to this. And maybe there's something else behind it and we just have to let the story play out. But, man, that was disappointing to see him reform the bloodline. "We the Ones," and the fingers went up, and then Jacob came out and stood in his face, and Roman didn't seem fazed by it all that much, and he's just like, "Well, if you want it, you better come get it," and then, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Backlash, we're going to have Roman versus Jacob, I guess. Is it going to be pushed off to SummerSlam? No, he said Backlash, right? So we're going to see what happens. All in all, WrestleMania, a tale of two nights. One better than the other, but both equally ruined by all the same things wrong. Which, for a quick recap, now that we're at the end, Commercial Mania. Terrible. Terrible. No promos. No pre-match packages outside of the main events. No backstage vignettes. No interviews. Nothing special. Skipped entrances for commercials. Long entrances, not a problem. Not an issue. It's WrestleMania. That's supposed to be there. That shouldn't be a complaint. For some reason, I have it on my list here. But the long entrances, any real wrestling fan will forgive that. You just go back to watch any WrestleMania in the past. That's part of the show. It's the pageantry, right? The spectacle, the grandest stage of them all. That's when you're supposed to do it. But some really weird booking decisions, and it's just really, really too much with the commercialization of professional wrestling. Those are my thoughts, but that's not really what matters. What are you thinking? What was your thoughts about WrestleMania 42? I want to hear them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and do all the YouTube things, because that'll really help us out getting this channel back to where it was once before. Sorry that it took so long. I know I kind of missed a couple of days, but shit happens. I have a family and we have some stuff going on, and I have to wait till I have the time to do my videos, and when I do, this is what you get. You get Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. My name is Nick Nightmare. Thank you all for being here. Check out the channel for more, and I'll see you next time.